So welcome to training on how to use AI for user experience. So where this came from was I went to a couple of AI training, and it tended to be about ChatGPT and how it's okay, but there's a lot of problems with it, and it was all very negative. And as I was listening, I was like, well, I use all these other tools and I actually find it really useful, because ChatGPT is not a research tool. So if people are trying to use it for research, of course, they're going to get the wrong answers. So I was like, well, I'm sure I could do a training course. So I did. So the first thing I did was I needed to come up with a presentation. So Canva has actually got an AI presentation maker. So all I would do would be to go onto Canva, go to presentation. And then over on the left here, you have this magic design button. And all you would need to do is type in what you want the presentation to be about. So for example, let me grab, bear with me, I'll get the prompt up. Go. So write a training course on how AI can benefit user researchers, UX designers, and UI designers. So you can, once it loads, you can pick the style that you want the presentation to be in. That's all right. We'll have that one, create my presentation. And you can see each of the different slides. You've got introduction, the benefits, AI tools. There you go. All the presentation's already written for you. But it might be that you go, you know what, I'm not really keen on that photo. I want a different image. So there's a lot of image generators. So my favorite one I've been using at the moment is Adobe Firefly. So this is really good because it is using work from artists that has already been created by Adobe, and they've actually paid the creators. So a lot of the other image generators has basically just scraped the internet and it's just reusing artists' work. Whereas this one, it feels a bit more ethical, so I've been using it a lot. So this is the one I use most, is text to image generate, and then down here you would write what image it was. So if we just put how AI can benefit user research, I have no idea what's going to come up. Hopefully it'll be nice. We'll see. And yeah, it can take a little bit, but maybe not. That one's quite nice. So a good feature of this, that if you like, I kind of like the style, you can press this button here that shows similar, and you'll get the same sort of images down here. And then on the right here, if you wanted more like a realistic one, you could click on photo, for example, and it'll go through that. So let's say I like that image, I'm going to download it. So the good thing about this as well is that it's marked as AI. There you go. So you see here, you've got this little mark, so people know that it's AI content. So this is how I made this presentation today. So here's one I made earlier. Let me just present that for you all. So basically started off with Canva, and then I went through slide by slide, changing the images. So first of all, a bit of an introduction to me. I am a UX designer that works for the NHS. Before I worked for the NHS, I worked for a company called Eternal, and I used these AI tools all the time. When I went into the NHS, there wasn't anyone really using them, so I gave this course to our UX team and also the information governance team. And the information governance team was fine with us using all these tools, so they have been checked. If anyone wants to connect with me, I am on LinkedIn. My username is nas84, so feel free to say hi. So the main thing I want to get across to people is that we really have to be careful what we're putting into these AI bots. We need to make sure that any information that is personal to a user is taken out, and I'll show you how to do that later on. Just think, if I wouldn't post it on Reddit, I'm not going to put it into the AI. So if it is personal information, do not put it into the AI. So there's been a lot of bad press about AI, and it isn't perfect. As I keep saying to people, it's just a baby, it's still learning, and it's not going to replace our user researchers or our UX developers. It's basically just a tool we can use to increase our productivity. And AI is not going to have the empathy that we can have for users, and it will still have bias. So there's a lot of tools that have been trained to get rid of some bias, but it's not 100% perfect. So just see these tools as something that you can use to increase your productivity rather than replace someone. So the benefits of AI, it's really good at taking a lot of data and analysing it quickly. Of course, it's not going to be as perfect as a user researcher that's going to spend half a day doing these things, but it can give you a nice quick outcome. It's really good at solving user problems and giving different solutions to problems. And it can free up your tasks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through the different tools that I've used with my work. So one that I find really useful is when I'm trying to do some user research. I like to kind of look at what science says, what's already been done. There's a website called perplexity.ai, and if you want to know what kind of like scientific papers have been written on something, so let's say, what's the best colour to show a warning pop-up on a website, for example. This is one I was doing the other day, actually. And it will give you information about it, but what's really useful, which ChatGPT doesn't do, is it tells you where it gets the information from. And the same for another website that I use called Consensus. And everyone's used to things appearing immediately, it does take a while. And it can give you information, but what I really like about Consensus is that when you click Cite, it tells you exactly which paper it's from, and also it will take you to where you can get the full text. So if you are kind of looking for kind of scientific research, you can use these kinds of websites to find actual sources, which, as I say, ChatGPT won't. Another website that I use a lot instead of ChatGPT is something called Bard, and it's a language model. So it's kind of like ChatGPT. I just prefer how it actually writes. So let's say you're a new user researcher and you wanted to use it to plan a user research session. Let me go there. Plan a user research session to establish what the best way is to show a date to a website to a user. And it will give you your objectives, objectives, what methods you could use, what participants you should get. So again, it's not replacing a user researcher, but if you are a UX designer like I am, and you, we've only got one user researcher on our team, sometimes I will have to do my own user research. So just getting a little plan together, and then I can ask it what sort of questions I should be asking and all of that. So I do find Bard is quite good for planning, but you can use this with ChatGPT or Bing as well. Okay, so that's kind of the user research side of tools that I've been using. Something that I also find quite good is analysing a lot of data. So I tend to use ChatGPT for this. So here's a transcript of an interview I definitely did with Michelle Obama. And these are all of my notes from that interview. So you would never put all of this information into ChatGPT. You're going to break so many GDPR rules. You haven't got the person's permission. So something you can do when you're in a Word document, Control F, and you can use find and replace. So instead of Michelle Obama, what you can do is you can replace it with, so I like to do user and then replace all. And then the same with the researcher name. And the same with whatever the workplace was, which I can't remember what I made up. Sutton Park Surgery. Surgery. And then you can just put workplace in there. And then that would retract all.
What's up, Bone Crusher? Bone Crusher, you look like you got bigger since the last time. What's up?
Somebody has a question? No? Okay. Okay, so once you've retracted everything, all of your personal information, then you're good to go. So here's one that I retracted earlier. Okay. And I'm just going to put that into ChatGPT. So I'm going to give you all a handout. I am going to give you all a handout later that has all these links on.
Yeah, because I'm trying to work on it.
And I'm also going to give you a prompt that will help, different prompts that will help you with these, and that's all in the handout. So for user research, the prompt that I usually use is, you are tasked with analysing user interview transcripts to extract key points and identify impactful quotes. Dive into the interviews and uncover valuable insights that can help decision making, improve user experiences, and identify potential areas of improvement. Your analysis should focus on distilling the essence of user feedback and highlighting noteworthy quotes that capture the user's perspective effectively. Bit of a mouthful, but once you've done that, it will literally put all the key points to you. So in the handout that I'm going to give you, there is the most useful prompt that Kate O'Brien from We Are Content Club shared with me. Here we go. I'll just put it in there. And it's basically asking ChatGPT to become your prompt creator. So whatever you want it to do for you, it will ask you questions so you know what the best way is to ask ChatGPT. And I've used that to come up with prompts for user experience, content design. I will, as I say, I'll share all those with you at the end. So that's kind of using ChatGPT to kind of analyze data. The other thing that I use it for is to come up with different ideas. So let's do a little task. So everybody in the chat, let's say that users wanted to monitor their health online, but they're bored by the dull and dry charts that they have to look at. So what solutions would you come up with? So for example, I've put that in the chat. So let's say you might want to add animations, or you might want to sing them a song about the chart. I'll just give you a minute. So if you just put some ideas of how we could make health charts more interesting to users in the chat, and then we'll see what ChatGPT has to say. So I'm going to start copying these in. We'll like that. Interactive questions and answers, insightful quotes, lovely. Perfect show, Joe Long, yes. You know what? If there was an app that when I did exercise, a puppet came on and gave me a show, I'm totally subscribing to that app. So this is something you can do with your team. You can basically just speak to all of your team and go, right, I have this user problem. How can we solve it? And then once you've got all those ideas, you can use this prompt, which I'm just going to copy in. Bear with me. So this is for user experience. So with this, the user experience about generating ideas, you'll see here these things that are in little brackets. These are what are called variables. So you can use this prompt again and again, but you would just change what type of project it is. So I am going to just fill that in. So let's say it's a type of project is an exercise app. The challenge is what we said there, and for target audience, let's say 18 to 74-year-old people from Denmark, you know. Anyway, you put your target audience in there, and then some ideas, and then you can put all the ideas down that you've heard. Oh, hold on, bear with me a second. It's going, sorry, it's still using the prompt one. Let me just start a new chat. So up here on the top left, whenever you want to get rid of everything that you've done so it doesn't have any memory, you can just put new chat. Okay, so it comes up with some ideas. So personal avatars, gamification, story-based workouts, virtual trainers, social community. So as you can see, loads more ideas, and they might not be as good as the ones that we've come up, like a puppet show. That definitely is the winner for me. But it does have lots more different things that you can test with your users and see which is the most popular. So I have used that for kind of UX experiences. Right, what was next? Okay, so content. So for UX content, so let's say that you're writing a website on what is inclusive design, and you usually probably use some Lorem Ipsum, but what you can do, and we will start a new chat. Bear with me. What is inclusive design? And it's going to give you lots and lots of information that you could use instead of Lorem Ipsum. What you should definitely do as well is rewrite using UK spelling and grammar. Grammar is spelled wrong. And then it will put, so it will write in American English if you don't tell it to do that. But what's going to happen is if you just put that into your design, it's likely that the stakeholders are probably not going to check it, and it might get actually developed and put on your website, and eventually AI detectors are going to look for this. So you can check. There's lots of AI content detectors on the internet, like writer.com is one of my favorite. But if you need to get around the AI content generators, there is this website called Quillbot. And I probably shouldn't have done it in the window that had the text. Bear with me. There we go. And what you can do, if you're not on a paid subscription, unfortunately, it will only do a few paragraphs at once. But it will rewrite it, and you can change words and things like that. And then when you put that through the AI detectors, it doesn't come up as AI written. So it's a way of getting around that. So like students, for example, if they were trying to get around that, they could use this. And eventually the AI detectors will figure this out and stuff. But at the moment, that's how students are kind of getting around, kind of cheating on stuff. Okay, so that is kind of the main things I use. There are lots of coding ones as well. So GitHub Copilot, but a lot of them are becoming paid subscriptions. So it's worth kind of investigating that if you are doing any coding. But I've used it for lots of stuff. Like I'm getting married in a couple of years' time. I basically planned the whole wedding using ChatGPT, did my engagement party, games, everything. So I basically just check everything with ChatGPT nowadays. But as you can see, there's a lot more tools out there than just ChatGPT, so it's worth playing around with them. The other thing to be aware of is that it's not, bear with me, go back to my presentation. It's not a way of replacing us. It's about helping us and like just expanding ideas. It is not going to be as good as a human doing it. Like, for example, if you're doing a usability study with somebody and you can tell by their face that they're struggling with something, but they don't want to say anything, an AI reading the transcript is not going to pick that up. So it's, as I say, it's not about replacing people. It is just about making us like a little bit quicker when we don't have that time. Like I've been a one-person UX team before, and I didn't have whole days to be analysing videos and things. So it just helps when you don't have the resources. The other thing to bear in mind is bias, basically. So if you look at this picture of all these doctors, you'll see that they've all got stethoscopes, they've all got long sleeves. In the real world, that isn't the case. Like, doctors don't walk around with stethoscopes, but because of the data that the AI has been trained on, it has these false truths. So you just have to be really, really careful that whatever you're using, you're really checking that information. So top tips, always protect your privacy of your users. If you can obtain consent, make sure that all of your data is anonymized. Always check your sources. If you're actually using resources, if you're trying to do scientific research, use AI tools that are designed for that. Don't be using ChatGPT for it, because it's not a research tool. And there's a really good newsletter called TLDR, Too Long Did Not Read, and that has a specific AI one, which will give you all your AI news. And there is a handout that I've made.
कपड़ा change करो.
There's a handout that I've made that has all this information on. It's got all the links. So I'm just going to drop that into the chat. And if you want the handout with all the information on, if you just fill out this short survey with a with your details on, and then I'll email you out the handout. I'll just show you what the handout looks like. So it's got all the links to all of the different ones I've mentioned. It's got the prompt creator, different prompts you can use for the different roles. This one is brilliant, the DAN prompt, which stands for do anything now. So ChatGPT has got morality filters, and sometimes that gets in the way of what you want to do. So if you want to get around the morality filters, you can use this, and it becomes like a naughty version of ChatGPT. So that's fun to use. And then, as I say, it's got all the different tools. There's a few more that I haven't mentioned today as well. But as always, make sure you're removing any confidential information. Okay, so I think that's everything from me. So I will figure out how to stop sharing. Okay, right, I'm going to stop recording and then we can go through any questions.